Call the meeting to order. If you are able to stand, the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The preamble to the State of Missouri Constitution. We, the people of Missouri, with profound reverence for the supreme ruler of the universe and grateful for his goodness, do establish this Constitution for the better government of the state. Ted Martin will offer the invocation.
Good evening. Please join me in prayer. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for another beautiful day in the Ozarks, for the light rainfall yesterday evening around our community that avoided the lake system that's currently full. Father, tonight I bring to you tonight just prayers for Springfield Officer Prevey that was severely injured today in the line of duty. The DeKalb County Sheriff that died in the line of duty this week. That just continue to protect all of our emergency responders and take that one step further to all of our city employees as well that serve here in our community. Father, we pray for our the folks that serve on the boards here as volunteers, for our past board members, for those that are currently serving, and for those that are coming on board tonight. Father, we bring before you tonight this agenda that in everything that we do, that we discuss, that we talk about, that we work on, that we do it to glorify and honor you. Father, we love you, praise you, and thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
McConnell.
Here.
Klontz.
Here.
Simmons.
Here.
Akers.
Here.
Skanes.
Here.
Milton.
Here.
Castellan.
Here.
Your Honor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Do we have anyone signed up for public comment?
Yes, Your Honor, we do have.
Okay. In order to give everyone a chance to speak tonight, I would like to ask that if you're speaking on an item, that you keep your comments succinct to the topics and as short as possible. You will be allowed to only speak once on an item, and please do not repeat what has already been said by another speaker. Once public discussion is ended on an item and the board starts their discussion, no additional comments will be taken from the audience, unless a board member wants to call someone back up. Please remember to speak into the mic, state your name and address for the record. Please seek to follow our 5-minute guideline. Madam Clerk.
Our first speaker this evening is Doug Clark.
I would like to ask if I could ask one question about our oath of office here in the city and the county, why it doesn't, or if anybody knows why it doesn't include the words to support and defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic, and so help me God at the end, like the federal oaths of office do. Does anybody know why that is, or?
I do not. Anyone else?
Okay. Well, the reason I brought this up is because I was looking at that and looking at the history of oath of office and seeing what the historical references for that are and why the language is like that in the oaths. And basically, you know, if we live by our means here of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, it says our rights are from God, then we need to look at what we're introducing into our city as public policy from organizations that may or may not have a direct conflict with that. And this is kind of ongoing from the World Health Organization's policies, and I think they have a direct threat to part of our rule of law here. The reason I say that is because if you look at the structure of the UN in all areas that they have a real animosity to our Constitution and our Bill of Rights, because they actually come out and say directly that they oppose God and our system of patriotism as something they would like to change directly, and they don't mind saying it in so many words and about everything that they publish. So what I'd like to know is how that this policy that we have now that did what it did to our community financially and through attendance of church and things that we protect and should be holding it above all of that type of policy there that's directly against that, why we're doing that. You know, if you can go right into the World Health Organization website and you can read some of this stuff and see how this policy was originally designed and how it got in through the NIH, the CDC, and how that got put out in different types of documents over the years to come up with the policy for our health departments. So if they are against the structure of our country and our declaration and what we hold dear here, why are we violating that particular thing that we hold dear in our country? I just quite consciously don't get it, you know? And it's not only the World Health Organizations, it's UNESCO. You can see the same language that they really detest patriotism, the family, the structure of the church in our country, and it goes clear into the environmental structure of the United Nations. United Nations Program on the Environment is basically a Gaia Earth type of document. And we're using, all this stuff is right in our city here in Branson. You just have to recognize the language of it and balance it out against what we set as our you know, our structure of our country, and see how that's violating what we stand for, you know? And the reason we don't have the basis of the Bible anymore, we don't have any rule of law, because we're violating Title 18, 242, which says that anybody violates these rights that we have under our Constitution is a violation of the U.S. Code. And there's a multitude of other things that we tend to do that we're not paying attention to, in my opinion, on when somebody comes into you and says, okay, sustainable development is a great idea. Okay, then we either accept money, or we accept the structure, or we take a survey from an outside entity to make up our mind what we're going to do in Branson. As far as I'm concerned, we have enough intelligence, collective intelligence here as a city to think up our own rules and regulations on how we want our city to you know, go on. You know, I've watched this stuff since I became aware of some of it since the early 90s, and it's got more aggressive every year on how this stuff is instituted from within. The schools are purporting United Nations policy on how they teach the curriculum, because if you're a member of UNESCO, you cannot teach anything outside the curriculum that UNESCO sends to you. That's how we have the chaos going in, and I wouldn't say necessary here in Branson, but we don't teach patriotism in the schools. We don't teach our history. We don't teach our founding fathers' structure, what they thought the government ought to be and what we should be using for our textbooks. It's just completely backwards as to what they intended for us to be doing, you know, and that's basically all I have to say tonight. I mean, if anybody's interested in seeing this documentation, I'll be glad to sit down with anybody that would be interested in it, and I can show you the stuff right out of the United Nations, what we're doing.
Right on time. Thank you, Doug. Madam Clerk.
Our next speaker is Jonas Argus.
Jonas Argus, 201 William Place, Branson. Your Honor, members of the board, and also Madam Clerk, please let the record show that I'm making this request on behalf of my wife. I told her I'd be coming to the meeting tonight, and she asked me to do something, and I said, "Are you serious?" And she goes, "Yes, I'm serious." So here I am. Please reopen the recycle center. Thank you.
You did good.
That's all of our speakers.
Thank you. There will be a public hearing next Thursday where the Alderman will, one of the items they will review is information on the recycling center. And it's your wife's not the only one, but it's a decision that will have a lot of complications to it. So I encourage anyone who's interested, next Thursday at 12 noon, 12:30, I believe, is our study session. So, all right, at this time, we're ready to go into the consent agenda. Is there anyone in the audience who would like something moved down from the consent agenda? Any alderman like anything moved down from the consent agenda? This time, it is my responsibility as mayor under state law to take care of the ordinances of our city and the state laws relating to our city are complied with. Under one of our ordinances, Branson Municipal Code 2-64, I am tasked with the responsibility of being the presiding officer of the board and am required to preserve strict order and decorum at all meetings. Decorum is often defined in the dictionary as proprietary or good taste in conduct or appearance. And one of the many definitions of order is the state of peace, freedom from confusion, unruly behavior, and respect for law and proper authority. Unfortunately, we have had a number of abstention on votes without proper basis for the abstention. The citizens of Branson elected us to make decisions on policy matters, and we make those decisions by voting. We are obligated to vote unless a conflict of interest prevents us from doing so. The common law of the state of Missouri supports this. Although I cannot force any member of this board to vote, and no member can be required to cast a vote, I do have the ability to control the order and decorum of these meetings. As a result, I'm announcing under my authority to preserve order and decorum for these meetings that any abstention by any member of the board during the meeting can be recast as a no vote. Thank you. At this time, Madam Clerk, would you provide us with the...
Your Honor, the items on the consent agenda are as follows. Approval of the Board of Alderman minutes of the May 26, 2020 regular meeting. Acknowledge receipt of minutes from the Budget and Finance Committee meeting of February 27, 2020, and Capital Improvement Committee meeting of February 28, 2020. Final reading of Bill Number 5820, an ordinance approving a final subdivision plat for 248 Parkway Phase 2. Final reading of Bill Number 5821, an ordinance approving an agreement for professional consultant services between the City of Branson and HDR Engineering Incorporated for subgrade analysis and preliminary engineering of a flood protection system at the city's Compton Drive wastewater treatment plant, and authorize the mayor to execute the contract. Final reading of Bill Number 5822, an ordinance amending the adopted 2019 budget for the City of Branson to adjust monies for the Tourism Fund for the Branson, Missouri Regional Airport TDD. Your Honor, that concludes the reading of the consent agenda.
Thank you. The floor is open for a motion approving all items on the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Second. Any discussion? Please vote on the consent agenda. There are 6 aldermen present. Yes, 6. Motion passed. Please, on the disbursements is under the regular agenda. The review of our disbursements from February 28, 2020 through May 29, 2020. Are there any questions regarding these disbursements? Do I have a motion?
Mayor?
Excuse me, okay.
I know when we get these, we get them, and we've talked about this before, we get them in 3-month blocks.
If I could answer that, the
Yeah.
Finance Department told me that this will be the last one we get in a group like this. They will be presented to us monthly in the future. And also the limit in the Finance Committee has been brought down to where we will see more of the larger ones in the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Alderman Simmons.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion to acknowledge the receipt of disbursements from February 28, 2020 through May 29, 2020?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I'd ask you please vote. Six aldermen present. Yes, 6 votes. Passed. Madam Clerk, would you provide an introduction to these items, election results?
Your Honor, this is the certification of the election results by Donna Neely, Taney County Clerk. The following is an official certificate of election results for the municipal election held in Taney County, Missouri on June 2nd, 2020 upon the following. For Alderman, Ward 1, Willard Harris, 9 votes, Marshall Howden, 161 votes, and Bill Skanes, 193 votes. For Alderman, Ward 2, Rick Castellan, 110 votes, and Jeff C., 297 votes. For Alderman, Ward 3, Jamie Whitus, 315 votes. This certifies done on June 5th, 2020. Mayor, that concludes the certification of the election results.
Thank you. We will now have the recognition of the outgoing Alderman Rick Castellan and Brian Klontz. I'm asking Alderman Bob Simmons, who's the president of our board, to come down with me, and he'll make the presentations.
What do you call those?
They're very fancy plaques.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Gentlemen, you'll be given a chance to speak here in a moment also when you want to. So if you want to remain seated, fine. Or if you want to come up here, that's fine too. But first, I'd like to list the service that these gentlemen have both done for the city. Let's see. The first one is Alderman Klontz. First appointed to the board in 10 of 18. And served until 4 of 2019 and was reelected for a one-year term from 2019 to 4/2020, which has turned into 6/9/20. And he served on the Budget and Finance Committee 10/18 to 4/19, served on the Human Resources Committee from 4/19 to 4/2020, and Transportation and Development District Board from 7/20 to 4/20. His service has certainly been valuable, and during this coronavirus and the pandemic, we've relied heavily, or I have certainly, on his opinion. And since he's one of the leading people at our hospital that is dealing with this, we've had couldn't have had better advice and better input. So it's certainly been appreciated.
Brian, if you could come forward.
Thank you.
Well, it's certainly been an honor and a privilege to serve. I certainly do wish the incoming alderman, Mr. Whitus, best of luck. I wish everybody who's remaining on the board best of luck. I have enjoyed working with all of you, and I certainly think that you have good direction going forward into the future for the city. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Now, Alderman Castellan, you want to come on up here, Rick? Sit way over there. Thank you. Rick was first elected to the Board of Aldermen 4/2016, served till 4/2018, and was reelected 4/2018 to 4/2020, which again has turned into June of 2020. He served on the Capital Improvements Committee from 4/17 to 4/18. Human Resources Committee, 4/16 to 4/17, and was reappointed from 4/18 to 4/19, and 4/19 to 4/20, which has turned into June. He's been also the Chamber of Commerce representative from 9/26 to 4/17. Yeah, I said that wrong, but that's okay. And was reappointed from 4/17 to 4/18. So that's also serving on the Transportation Development District Board, 6/2016 to 4/2020, which has turned into 6 of 2020 again. And I personally, this has been 4 years, and these are all, both these gentlemen, these jobs, if you see these transportation committees, you see any of these committees that they serve on, you can just about plan that if you know how long a meeting lasts, that you spend about that length of time preparing for a meeting. So you can pretty well double the time commitment. And for people who are working, like Dr. Klontz has been, and certainly they're not old retired people like myself, so it's not easy to put in that kind of time and donate it to community service. And we really appreciate it, and give you this fancy plaque in recognition of that. You want to say something? Thank you.
Thank you.
Just want to say to the community, thank you very much. I enjoyed my 4 years here. The rest of the board, the new board members, please keep fighting for the community. Remember, the community comes first before us.
Any other comments from Alderman? All right. We are now at the end of this portion. We do the old business first. We'll take a recess and then reopen and seat the new alderman in place. Do I have a motion to adjourn the Board of Alderman meeting?
So move.
Second.
Second? Please vote. Four seated aldermen, 4 votes yes, it passed. Adjourned for 10 minutes. Everything improves. I don't know if you noticed, they're getting fancier and fancier.
Yeah.
I think we've been about 9 minutes.
Convention Center report looks a little better than expected, is that right? Clean up my mess. Yeah, I need a haircut, bad. What? Yeah. Ed needs a haircut too. Ed needs a haircut too.
Called order. Madam Clerk, would you please?
Yes, Your Honor. I would like to call our new elected board members down here and recognize them and swear them in. And our first alderman is Alderman Skanes, please. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Bill Skanes, do solemnly swear that I possess all the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of Alderman Ward 1, that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Missouri, the provisions of all laws of this state affecting cities of this class, and the ordinances of the city of Branson, and will faithfully demean myself while in office. Congratulations. You may. You can see. Thank you. Our next alderman is Ward 2, Jeff C. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Jeff C. Do solemnly swear that I possess all the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of Alderman Ward 2, that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of the state of Missouri, the provisions of all laws of this state affecting the cities of this class, and the ordinances of the city of Branson, and will faithfully demean myself while in office. Congratulations. Oh, watch that. Jamie Whitus, Alderman, Ward 3. Please raise your hand and repeat after me. I, Jamie Whitus, do solemnly swear that I possess all the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of Alderman Ward 3, that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Missouri, the provisions of all laws of this state affecting cities of this class, and the ordinances of the city of Branson, and I will faithfully demean myself while in office. Congratulations. Thank you.
Welcome, James. I call the Alderman's meeting to order. Welcome to our two newest members and to our member who has been reelected. It's really interesting to listen to the oath of office and recognize the responsibility that we all have. And I thank you for stepping out and be willing to serve this community. I look forward to serving the citizens of Branson, and I look forward to you all, you aldermen who make the decisions, being involved in that process. The newly seated board for 2020. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
McConnell.
Here.
Whitus.
Here.
Simmons.
Here.
Akers.
Here.
Skanes.
Here.
Milton.
Here.
C.
Here.
Your Honor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, the board has a president, an acting president, and that nomination floor is open for the nomination for acting president of the board.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to nominate Bob Simmons to fill that role, please.
The nomination of Bob Simmons. Any other nominations?
Mr. Mayor, I would nominate Alderman Milton.
We have a second nomination in Alderman Larry Melton. Any other nominations? Nominations are now closed. I've got more than one nominee, so I'll use the following guideline here. The board will be voting on Bob Simmons and Larry Melton by writing their choice on a ballot provided. The city clerk will read the results, and the nominee receiving the most votes will be approved to fill the position. So I'm going to ask you, as soon as you have your nomination, to please vote.
For the nomination of the acting president, I will read the results. Larry Milton has voted for Larry Milton. Bill Skanes has voted for Bob Simmons. Bob Simmons has voted for Bob Simmons. Kevin McConnell has voted for Larry Milton. Jamie Whitus has voted for Bob Simmons. And Jeff C. has voted for Bob Simmons. That would be a vote of 4 for Bob Simmons and 2 for Larry Milton. So Alderman Simmons would be acting president of the board for the next year.
Congratulations, Bob. All right, we're ready to go into the regular agenda. Mr. Simmons will now be the acting president of the board. In my absence, he has the authority to vote his vote, as well as if there's a tie, to vote my vote. And so it's an important position, and I thank Mr. Simmons for being willing to do that. Madam Clerk, would you read item number 1 of the regular agenda, please?
Your Honor, this is a public hearing and first reading of Bill number 5823, an ordinance approving a petition to add certain real property to the 76 Entertainment Community Improvement District.
Okay. I will now open the public hearing. And a staff report from Lisa Westfall.
Mayor and Board, on February 14th, 2020, a petition was filed with my office to add additional property to the 76 Entertainment CID. Jacob Lowry is the attorney with Kutak Rock out of Kansas City, and he is here tonight to walk us through this process and what you have in front of us. Mr. Lowry, and I certainly appreciate his help and his guidance and him to come here tonight to fill us all in on what's going on.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Board, Mayor, City Clerk, thank you. What we're here for tonight, I'm going to describe as a relatively easy procedure and action, but I know that hasn't been the case for the last couple of years here in the city, so please don't take that to mean that I think this hasn't been a lot of hard work to get to this point, because I know that it has, and I know it's an exciting time for the city to be at this date and considering this. So generally, the petition, a community improvement district can expand property by adding land around it that's contiguous, as long as a certain few requirements are met, okay? So the executive director, as city clerk mentioned, on February 14th, filed a petition, and then it's up for the city clerk with my assistance to review the petition and make sure it meets the statutory requirements set forth in the CID Act, Missouri statutes. I won't go into all the details of what has to be met, but generally, 50% of the property owners in the real property to be added, and 50% of the assessed value in that property to be added, they have to consent yes to the addition to the community improvement district. And so I know that was a long process for the district to pull those consents together and then submit them with the petition. City clerk and I have done our due diligence in reviewing those consents and are now able to say that those two tests have been met. So once we can determine that the assessed value test is met, which in this case was easily met, and the per capita owner test was met, then that kicks off certain statutory requirements, including there's a certain time frame in which the public hearing has to be held, which is what is happening tonight. And then certain notices have to be published in the newspaper and also mailed to all the property owners within the district currently and the district to be added. I skipped over one step, and that is the 76 Entertainment Community Improvement District is in place now and is acting as it should, charging a 1% sales tax on sales inside the district. That'll be a component of the added property. You guys know the area a whole lot better than I do, but it's a pretty substantial addition to the district, as you can see by the map. So the gray shaded area is the current district, and then all the black outlined area would be the added property. So it was a substantial amount of real property, substantial amount of property owners. And so we're happy to say that standing here tonight, all statutory requirements have been met, and we're able to move forward with a first reading of the ordinance to approve the addition of the property to the district. I wanted to keep my statements fairly brief because I know we've got folks from the district who are going to talk a little bit more about the actual improvements and some other items. So happy to answer any questions while I'm up here.
Any questions from the Alderman?
Okay.
Here's you've done a good job.
Thank you.
Is there someone else wishing to speak then?
Your Honor, before we go on, I just want to make sure that we know that these are public hearing comments. Thank you.
He'd have to be sworn in?
Gail Meyer, 365 Whisper Ridge, Branson. So this is a great day for Branson, and gosh, I'll get into the history a little bit, but I want to make sure I get through some things, and somebody eventually is going to probably pick on me for time. So, this project started over a decade ago, really, and 76 is the main artery to the heartbeat of Branson. What this project will do, once you approve the annexation, is it'll take and over time invest $70 million into the 76 corridor. It has the ability to, through enhancement and renewal, make the most significant economic impact that the city has done as a project in conjunction with the CID in possibly the history of Branson. And so we are proud to be here this evening. So I have some thank yous. And please forgive me because I've got enough that I'm going to leave somebody out, and I'm so sorry for that. But city staff, Keith Francis, Cheryl Harrison, they inherited the design portion of this, and they have set the stage for us to save money in the future, and they've also set the stage to get us ahead of the game on design, and that's appreciated. Jamie Roush, from a finance standpoint, has helped us understand this. You know, the project went through a rocky time. She helped us get it back, and that's very much appreciated. He has helped us, Melody Pettit has helped us to get information out, and there will be more of that now to come. Stan Dobbins, I cannot tell you the significance of his ability to get it and reset this project. Okay, he helped reset the project so that we have a success path for the future. John Manning has come on board to provide leadership, and that's appreciated. And then Lisa Westfall obviously did her job, and we needed her to do her job. So we have some folks who are on the board, and Joel Hornicle is on the board. He's a good addition to the board, and he's going to help us in the future with the organizing of the project itself. Obviously, Bob Simmons has been on the board. Chuck O'Day from the Hollywood Wax Museum and the Aquarium is on the board. Brian Casaboom with Stampede is on the board. And Jamie Whitus was on the board with Tanger Mall. And we're going to lose him as a stakeholder. I hope we gain him as an alderman on that board. So again, I don't want to leave anyone out, but there have been many other people who are committed as board members, both from a stakeholder standpoint and a city representative standpoint, who've helped this journey. Craig Westcott is in the audience. He's a past board member, and he was instrumental in this journey. But I want to recognize three people, especially. So Ann McDowell, what a gem. She has helped us get the information out. She's come to almost every meeting. She's volunteered some of her time. It's high quality, and she will also be extremely helpful to us in the future with creativity and helping make that a fun place to be with the dollars that we have for design above ground. Ed, you know, when you got elected, we got some signatures. And we got that because people trusted you because of all of those things that you had done in the past to pour yourself into community service. And that helped us get over the hump. And then finally, Larry Schmidt. So Larry was my predecessor. He was extremely passionate about this project. And he wanted it to be successful probably more than anyone else. And every time I go to a meeting, I think about Larry. And I appreciate his mentorship and his leadership for this community. So what really happened is, after the city had a comprehensive plan, I wrote a white paper. I came down and talked to Dean Krutoff, and I talked to Rand Presley. And at that meeting, I laid out the white paper, and I said, you know, you have the comprehensive plan, but look at what's happened to sales tax revenues, and you are not going to be able to implement your comprehensive plan. And so I left that with them. It took them about 8 hours to get it. And that's what started the discussion about what should happen on West 76. And it has truly been quite the journey. But here we are. It's a great day for Branson. I'm appreciative of all of you, and I would appreciate your vote on both the first and the second reading when it happens. I'm happy to try to answer any questions you might have. And finally, I dislike power lines. Thank you.
Don't beat around the bush, Gail. Tell me what you really think.
Any aldermen have any comments?
Yes, sir. You left person out of that, Gail. And it's yourself, your leadership, and what you've done on that project is to be commended. When everybody else, it appeared to me, as I would come to meetings that dropped the ball. You picked up the ball and you ran with it. And I think this community owes a debt of gratitude to you. I really do.
Mayor, I had one thing. Yes.
Gail, I would echo that, but I would also say this, that we can all agree and have disagreements. I think this is something that we can all celebrate together. I think it was something that the entire board was very much in support of, getting those signatures and in completing that larger CID. And quite frankly, nothing has changed in that sense. It's exciting. So thank you for all your work.
And Bob Simmons has been there the whole time.
Mayor.
Yes, Larry.
Gail, I would like to echo that also. I know that the project is, this will be the single biggest positive effect for Branson, I'm sure, that we've ever seen. So we're excited to get behind this and get it going.
I'd like to add my thanks to Gail because he's so tremendously organized. And when you've got a group of volunteers and at a project that's not well-defined, his organization and his driving talent in every meeting saying, now, what are we accomplishing here? Where are we going with this? Have just been unbelievable. It's kept everybody focused, and it is a great day to get to this point, and I think it'll affect the next 50 years of the city of Branson, certainly economic development and the good of the city itself. Thank you, Gail.
Just my comment, Gail, obviously, Larry's smiling, and we'll get this hopefully ready for us to go forward in the future. And I'm glad that he's able to be around to hear that, quite frankly. Yeah. All righty. You've heard the first reading of Bill number 5823. Do I have a motion? By the way, I need to announce the public hearing is now closed. You've heard the first reading of Bill number 5823. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak to this matter? Any alderman?
Just one last thing, and I left it out. I think this community also owns Annie McDowell a tremendous amount of respect for the work that she's done on this. She is a gem in this community, and you said it right. We're very glad to have her, and she did not pay me to say this. You're welcome.
Please vote. Oops, I'm sorry, one more comment.
I see we have numerous aldermen in the board here today. We haven't mentioned Mayor Presley, who was really mayor when this started, and certainly Chris Bohank has been very instrumental in this, involved for years. Rick Davis has sat on the board and wrestled with this for many years, and this is their success also, so we appreciate their work in the past.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Please vote. Six aldermen present. Yes, 6 votes. Passed. Madam Clerk, would you provide information on item number 2, please?
Your Honor, this is a public hearing and first reading of Bill number 5824, an ordinance approving the annexation of property located at 135 Lakefront Drive, Branson, Missouri.
I will now open the public hearing. Have a staff report from Joel Hornicle. And there he is.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board. This is an exciting evening, not only for the 76 CID expansion, but also because this is the last property in Chateau Cove to be annexed.
You've said that before.
Very exciting, very exciting. Staff has been working on this for about 2 years. The developer approached the city at that time wanting to connect to sewer. Because the property is contiguous, they were required to go through the annexation process. So we worked with them, tried to keep up with them, but they started selling lots quicker than we could keep up with them. And so we've been trying to finish all the puzzle pieces ever since. So very exciting. This is the last one to finish us off. It is ready to go. Staff has reviewed it. It's contiguous. There will be minimal impacts to the city from the annexation, and as a result, staff recommends approval.
Okay. I will now take public hearing comments. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter? any alderman. And you guys down there, you have to kind of say, hey, you. We'll get back together again, I promise.
You're absolutely assuring us this is the last one.
Yes, we've double-checked and triple-checked and run all the legals from all the ordinances over the years, and this is the last one. And the county agrees, which is even better.
You've heard and we've already made a motion in a second, correct? No, we haven't.
No.
You've heard the first reading of bill number 5824. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made in a second. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak to this matter? Any alderman wishing to speak to this matter? Please vote. 6 aldermen present, yes, 6 votes, passed.
Thank you.
Thank you. We come to city alderman and city administrators' reports. I would call on Alderman McConnell for any comments.
No report.
Alderman Whitus.
No report.
Alderman Simmons.
I'd just like to welcome the 2 new aldermen on board and appreciate having them here. Hope they enjoy their experience. Thank you.
Alderman Skanes.
Just to echo Alderman Simmons, to welcome the new aldermen to the board and to thank everybody who out there who worked on campaigns, putting up signs for both sides all the way across here. The people who dedicated their time and worked the polls from 5:30 in the morning until late at night. Our hats are off to them in this community, Bob, Lana, David, everybody. I greatly appreciate it. Appreciated my wife putting up with me for an extended period of time of this extended election. Thank you, sir.
Alderman Milton.
No report.
No report. Alderman Say.
I would echo what Bill said. A lot of my supporters are here, and I've thanked them personally, so I won't make them stand up and take it again. So, but basically, same thing. I'm happy with the turnout of the vote. It was a circus, to say the least, but we got it done, and I was surprised at the turnout myself and how people stuck around. Even though a lot of the ones that turned around came back, did their duty. So I appreciate that.
Thank you, Alderman. Oh, Administrator Dobbins.
You got Jamie?
No report, Mr. Mayor.
I got Jamie. I did call on you, Jamie, didn't I?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. No report? Just a couple comments. This next short period of time, we'll have a condensed period. The 22nd, I think, is the date that we have to have all of the committee recommendations in so that we can appoint people to serve. And so I'm going to encourage people to, if you're interested in being involved in the city and have an interest in an area, please contact Lisa's office and get the information you need to be able to serve on a committee. It's really an important time, and a lot of appointments will be made in the 2 weeks from now meeting that we have. There are training sessions going to be held by the Missouri Municipal League. Since the late election, they've been moved to August, and I encourage the new alderman or any alderman to go to these sessions where they have information on specific areas of service and more information on about serving in a Class 4 city and the ordinances and laws that the state has, and to get educated on being able to do a better job, best job we can as aldermen. Finally, just thank you for the community that we have. People got out and voted. It wasn't convenient. There were lots of things that were going on, but we've been working hard to do the best we can do to find a fine, thin line between the economics of this community and the health of this community. And I have appreciated the cooperation and effort this community has given to try to make sure that our guests can feel safe. We have to earn their trust back, that they feel they can come back to see us. They aren't coming back in groves yet, but they will be back. as long as we can keep things going. And I'm encouraged by what I see. It's been a tough year, but the last half of the year can be good, and I'm hopeful that'll happen. Alrighty. Do I have a motion to adjourn the Board of Aldermen's meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Six aldermen present. Vote is yes. 6. Meeting adjourned.
Could we get all of us together for a first alderman picture?
I don't know. Melanie?